El señor embajador nació el 18 de junio de 1964. Es graduado en Comercio y Derecho con medalla de oro. Graduado también de una beca de investigación en el Instituto Japonés de Asuntos Internacionales. Es un diplomático de carrera con más de 22 años de experiencia. Habla inglés, hindi, telugu y japonés. Está casado y tiene 2 hijas y un hijo. En 1995 fue segundo jefe de misión de la Embajada de la India en Ulan Bator, Mongolia. En 1997 fue designado funcionario regional de pasaporte de Hyderabad, Andhra Pradesh, de India. En 1999, primer secretario jefe de Cancillería de la Embajada de la India en Tokio hasta el 2002. En 2003 fue designado vicealto comisionado de la India en Puerto España, de Trinidad y Tobago. Y en 2006, director de Asia Este en el Ministerio de Asuntos Exteriores de Nueva Delhi. Del 2007 al 2010 fue ministro de la Embajada de la India en Seúl y a partir del 2010 ministro de Política y Prensa del Alto Comisionado de la India en Londres. Desde junio del 2012 a la fecha es embajador extraordinario plenipotenciario concurrente en Haití y República Dominicana de la Embajada de la India en La Habana, Cuba. Ha visitado numerosos países, entre ellos Estados Unidos, Canadá, República de Corea, Francia, Panamá, República Dominicana, Haití, Trinidad y Tobago, Granada, Venezuela, Dominica, Curazao, San Kitts, Antigua y Barbuda, Filipinas, Camboya, Tailandia, Bélgica, Reino Unido, Barbados y México. Con ustedes, el señor embajador Rajachikar.
Thank you very much, charming Dr. Lorraine, for those kind words of introduction, and Rector Dr. Julio Guzman, my distinguished colleagues from the diplomatic community, Mr. Fernando Gonzalez, who is the convener for this series of presentations on various countries, dear students, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good evening. I am very happy, first of all, to be here. I regret that my Spanish as yet is not good enough to make a presentation, but I am learning. Hopefully next occasion I'll be able to interact in Spanish. I must first of all thank the university for this great opportunity. I've been greatly looking forward to this opportunity, and I am told that I come after Great Britain and Canada. My illustrious colleagues have made presentations. So it's a huge jump for after B and C, Britain and Canada, for India to reach there. And I hope I would likewise be able to obtain India in your consciousness at the end of my presentation. I will make an attempt. I have a presentation, and to make up for my lack of Spanish language proficiency, I have made the presentation in Spanish so you could follow. This is what Mark Twain had to say about India. In the introduction, people have been very kind to say things, pleasant about India. Mark Twain in 1897, he was very generous. He said, "This is indeed India, the land of dreams and romance, of tigers and elephants, the cobra and the jungle, the country of 1,000 nations and 100 tongues, cradle of the human race, birthplace of human speech, mother of history, grandmother of legend, great-grandmother of tradition, the one land that all men desire to see. And having seen once, by even a glimpse, would not give that glimpse for the shores of all the rest of the globe combined." I suppose it's very generous of Mark Twain to say that, but in course of our brief, pleasant introduction to the rector, there was questions about the population, about the languages. We speak English in government business and also transacting business between the union and the states. First of all, I would like to ask the students, have you been able to follow me? Are you with me? In case you need, please at any time feel free to stop me. I'll be quite happy to pause and explain again slowly, maybe with the help of our friends in Spanish. So, about the languages, apart from English, we speak Hindi and very many languages. We have 15 languages, proper languages with the tradition of literary history going back more than 1,000 years and spoken by more than 50 million people, each of them. And the diversity of India is simply enormous. And I'll play this small clip from Incredible India. I see the Canadian ambassador walking in with that.
India, incredible India.
So you heard that conversation. The lady visiting, she was asked, are you here first time in India? So the lady is saying, no, this is my second visit. That is to introduce you about the diversity that India represents. In my presentation, I would like to give you a brief overview of these various subjects. Say, to give you an idea, India is about 3 million square kilometers of land mass, and 10% of it is water. And in population, it's about 1.2 billion people. That's about 100 times of the population of Dominican Republic. But you have more per capita land. In a square kilometer of land, if you calculate, we are 50% more densely populated than Dominicans. And we speak, I mentioned about the languages, but the most of languages, they owe their origin in Sanskrit, which is in turn an Indo-Aryan language, which closely relates to Latin and other ancient languages. If you want a sample, I can recite a brief shloka in Sanskrit. Keyurani na bhushayanti purusham harana chandrojvala na snanam na vilepanam na kusumam nalankruta murdhaja vanyeka samalankaroti purusham ya samskruta dharyate kshiyante kalubhushanani satatam vagbhushanam bhushanam. This is written maybe about 2,000-3,000 years ago, meaning that what all accessories that we may wear, what is the most enduring, most effective accessory is pleasant speech. Pleasant, polite, relevant speech. So that's what this means. So that is Sanskrit, from where many Indian languages originate. And we have the principal cities, apart from the capital Delhi, Mumbai, which is today is Mumbai. Earlier it was called Bombay, the financial, the industrial capital. And the present president of the nation is Mr. Pranab Mukherjee, and the Prime Minister is Dr. Manmohan Singh. We are the largest democracy, parliamentary democracy. We have 2 houses in the parliament, which elect representatives every 5 years. This is the symbol of Indian currency, rupee. Today, $1 is roughly equivalent to 60 rupees. And these are the figures about our GDP per capita, gross domestic product, which is close to $2 trillion, $1.9 trillion. And in per capita terms, it is equivalent to $1,592, but translated into purchasing power parity, it's about $4,000 per capita. Indian economy today is at takeoff stage. It is the fastest growing democracy. Last decade, we grew at about over 7-8% per annum. And these are our national symbols. This is the national flag, tricolor. The saffron on the top represents the spirit of sacrifice, and the white is peace, and the green represents abundance. And the wheel in the center represents the eternity of time and also righteousness, for which Indian civilization stands. And our national anthem is Jana Gana Mana. This is our national symbol taken from the Emperor Ashoka's lion capital, which you would see in all Indian government things, my visiting card and all those. And these are the other symbols. The flower is lotus, and the banyan tree is the national tree. This is the Royal Bengal tiger, is the national animal. And this is the peacock, the national bird. River Ganges is beyond the being a source of livelihood and water, it represents the Indian civilization, because along the banks of Ganges, very many cities, Benares, the ancient city, have developed, and this is on the river Ganges at the foothills of Himalayas. This is our national aquatic animal, dolphin of the fresh waters. And the geopolitical background. India is in South Asia. We have a population of 1.2 billion, and to the south we have the Bay of Bengal, and I think if you see the map of India you can relate better. And to the north we have China, and to the northwest we have Pakistan, and to the east Bangladesh, and further east Myanmar and Southeast Asia. Our geographic landmass can be divided into Himalayas and the plainlands and Deccan Plateau, and presently we follow the parliamentary democracy. And some of the questions that today we are debating in India are about whether we shall have a presidential form of government or the parliamentary form of government is good enough, or shall we introduce proportional representation, because presently we follow first past the post single constituencies. And the third thing is whether we shall go for state funding of elections. The federal government has three organs, state. The first one is executive, and legislative and judiciary. The executive is headed by the government, which is elected every 5 years, and the prime minister is elected by the lower house of the parliament. And the parliament has two chambers. The lower house has 545 elected members, and the upper house, the Senate, has 250 members who are elected every 6 years and represent the various states. Today there are 29 states in India. The judiciary is very staunchly independent, and it does not hesitate to pronounce on the constitutionality and the validity of the executive orders and the laws made from time to time, or their implementation. If we were to go back to brief history, like you have been a Spanish colony, India was a British colony, and the first war of independence has occurred in 1857 following India's Renaissance, and Mahatma Gandhi has led the Indian freedom struggle through non-violent means. While most colonies have attained their independence, freedom through violent struggles, we are very proud that the Indian freedom struggle was different and was peaceful without the use of violence by and large. Mahatma Gandhi is the father of the nation, and he said famously, "I am prepared to die, but there is no cause for which I am prepared to kill." So he was an inspiration for the freedom struggle. But I would say that he was a product of the Indian civilization, which he has come to represent the ethos the traditions of India of tolerance and peace, non-violence. It is very amazing the way he has mobilized the masses of India against the British Empire. He said also, you would find the Spanish version there, when he started first mobilizing the people, the people laughed. How can you hope to unseat the mighty British Empire? So he responded, first they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then they fight you, and finally you win. This is what exactly has happened. He studied abroad in London and he practiced law in South Africa. Then when he came back in the about 1920, the freedom struggle of India was confined to a few cities, a few people meeting and passing resolution for advocating reforms. But Gandhi has realized that it is not the way, because without mobilizing the masses, large number of people, you cannot hope to unseat, dislodge the empire. So he has taken the movement of freedom movement to the countryside. He spoke the language of the masses, Hindi, and he has taken up, a very interesting subject, salt. The British government used to impose tax on salt, which is an essential item. Every person, every family, household needs salt. He has used salt to tell the people that here is our sea waters, from where we make salt. This is our salt. How can a foreign government impose any duties on this? Which has, resonated with the masses, and people followed him to disobey, to break the law, and to rise in non-cooperation with the government, which was least expected, as thousands and millions of people have volunteered to fill the jails. The British government had to come to talk to him, and eventually we attained independence. So out of respect, we address him as Mahatma, which means great soul, for his wisdom and his foresight. Moving on to the economy, say today it's about $2 trillion of economy. In terms of comparison with Dominican Republic, it translates to about 30 times more GDP. And here is the forecast of Goldman Sachs that by the year 2050, which is about 35 years from now, the per capita GDP would be in excess of $20,000, and the Indian economy would be bigger than US. That's, to give you an idea. In fact, if you go back in the history, 1750, before Industrial Revolution, India and China used to be the preeminent economies, and many historians and economists and scholars independently say that India and China are growing rapidly. They have the potential and to again regain that preeminence. And today it is the 10th largest economy according to the current international exchange rates. And in terms of purchasing power parity, which is, if you are to equate, for example, how much does it cost to have a dinner in Santo Domingo, in New York, in Tokyo, in Delhi. So if you are to draw a parity in terms of purchasing power, the Indian per capita GDP translates to about $4,000. And today, interestingly, services contribute about 60% of our GDP. I think people popularly say that China is the manufacturing workshop for the world. India is the office for the world, and Brazil is the agriculture farm for the world. So our services sector contribute about 60% of the economy, and India's workforce numbers about 500 million, which is an astonishing number. India traditionally has been an agriculture nation, and even today 60% of the people are employed in agriculture. And today India is the largest producer of various agriculture commodities: tea, milk, jute, sugar, onions, other vegetables, and second largest producer in the world of rice, wheat, silk, among the leading producers of other agricultural commodities. And India not only feeds a billion people, also we export very many agricultural products. And this was made possible thanks to the Green Revolution that our scientists, with the help of scientific community from friendly nations, have worked to give us self-sufficiency in food production. In terms of infrastructure, we have a large network of railroads and roads. We have the numbers, several seaports and airports which are growing. And in terms of science and technology, we have over 160 universities and producing a large number of engineers and professionally trained technicians every year. As a result of the recognition of India's manpower strength, technical, scientific pool of personnel, over 100 multinationals have shifted their research and development centers in India with an investment of over $2 billion every year. We have considerable strengths in certain frontier areas of technology, nanotechnology, medicine. In fact, medicine has, medical tourism has emerged as a major sector of tourism. And in energy, these are the figures that India is among the leading producers of energy, also consumers, also imports roughly about a third to half of energy, depending on what source of energy you are looking at. Also, India is moving ahead in new and renewable areas of energy. For example, we have an installed capacity of wind energy over 20,000 megawatts, and we have very ambitious plans in the next 15 years to go up to 140 gigawatts of energy derived from wind energy alone. Similarly, we plan to have 20 gigawatts of solar power in the next 6 to 7 years. You may have heard about our work in space program. India today launches a large number of satellites, not only for ourselves, but also to other countries, including developed countries, on commercial basis. Like we offer our launching facilities for a fee that shows about the progress that India has recorded. And we also have an advanced oceanography program. Information technology, much has been said about IT, so much so that if somebody is asked, what is IT? Somebody may say that Indian technology, much more than information technology, that we have a Silicon Valley of our own in Bangalore. In English language, there is an expression, the job has been Bangalored, means outsourced to India. So they have come up with a new business model where you can transact most of your business process in India at a fraction of the cost. Information technology can be a force multiplier in business, enhancing the productivity, lowering the costs, and thereby promoting your competitive edge, which is what every economy is looking for today. We have figures of what are the numbers involved, how many IT parks we have, a number of people, and all those things. I will not bore you with the figures. And among other major leading industries, we have pharmaceutical. Indian pharmaceutical companies have made medicine affordable to the masses through the production of generic medicine. They are proven bioequivalent in terms of their efficacy. They are equally effective but only cost a fraction of the cost of the branded products. So much so, not only India or other developing countries, but even US. In the US, state after state has been legislating to procure generic medicines, and India has the largest number of pharmaceutical manufacturing facilities approved by the US FDA, Food and Drugs Administration, in terms of their quality, rigorous quality specifications. Much has been said about Indian medicine for AIDS, HIV, antiretrovirals, which has made medicine, earlier it was costing more than $100 per day per patient, which was simply beyond their reach. Thanks to Indian antiretrovirals, now it has become more affordable. Then moving on, textiles is one of our traditional industry. Automobile, you may have heard about our cars. Tata Nano may be perhaps the most affordable car, which costs about $1,500 today, the family car. Also, the other end, the Tatas have acquired Jaguar, and also commercial vehicles. Steel, we are the 5th largest producer of steel, which is a rough and ready reckoner of the dynamism of economy and the industry. Demography is also a factor in favor of India and also a driver of Indian economy. Thanks to Indian democratic traditions, we did not impose force to sterilize the population. Instead, we tried to educate and promote awareness about the need for population control. And thanks to that, today we have a very young nation. We are the second most populated country, but our population growth rate has stabilized. The average age of Indian is 34 years, which means we have more people in the productive pool when compared to the dependents. So if you take the example of the developed countries or Cuba, where I am resident, the population is shrinking and aging. There are more dependents, pensioners, to the people in the working group. India, fortunately today, is at an advantage, what the economists call, we are about to reap demographic dividend. We hope that will come true. We are among the youngest nations. 50% of our population is under 25 years of age, which means that there will be robust demand for goods and services, and our workforce is large, which can keep the economy growing. Coming to culture, we have begun with Taj Mahal, the photograph, probably the most representative of Indian architecture. It is in the city of Agra, which is about 40 minutes of distance by plane, or 180 kilometers. This was built in the 16th century as a symbol of love by an emperor whose lady wife has passed away trying to give birth to the child. So Emperor Shah Jahan has commissioned Taj Mahal, which took 20 years of work. It's one of the wonders of modern world and a UNESCO World Heritage Monument. And like that, we have very many historical monuments. And of course, thanks to the long tradition and civilization, we have a very vibrant scene of performing arts. We have 8 forms of classical dance in various regions and colorful costumes. And coming fast forward, to the modern times, all of you may be familiar with Indian cinema. We produce about 1,000 films every year. So much so that Indian film industry has come to be known as Bollywood. And recently, President Medina has inaugurated the film studios here called aptly Indomina, India and Dominican Republic, coming together. We hope that it will emerge as a leading hub for filmmaking in this region and beyond. And this film I have carefully selected, Ekta Tiger. This was shot in Cuba in the beginning of 2012 and released in August. It became a hugely popular hit, box office hit. We hope that more people will now look to locations in Dominican Republic and this region, and more people will travel to these places. And in terms of India's diplomacy, for instance, in neighboring Haiti, we have contributed 3 units of paramilitary forces to maintain law and order. It's part of the United Nations force. In fact, Canadian national Mr. Nigel Fisher used to be the acting special representative of the Secretary General till recently. And we are members of very many multilateral bodies, beginning with the G20. We are popularly called one of the BRICS nations, which are growing rapidly. And coming to this region, the Caribbean and Latin America, India's trade and investment ties have been growing. Today, India's trade, 2 ways, stands at about $50 billion, and investment is growing more than $10 billion. And I'll be specific to India, Dominican Republic. Although relations are established relatively recently, your mission has been functional in New Delhi since 2007. We have been, making great progress in promoting exchanges and visits and ties. We are very honored to host the previous president, Leonel Fernandez, in 2011. And just to recall, this year alone, I think this has been 1 year since the new president has been inaugurated. Our assistant minister came to represent India at the inaugural ceremony. And our Secretary of State was perhaps the first foreign delegation to be received by the Honorable President Medina, and we have signed cultural exchange agreement in last August, and our trade today stands at about $100 million two-way, but there is much more potential. We are trying with the help of the chambers. I am grateful to the India Dominican Republic chambers for their efforts. We have sent a delegation of healthcare industry in March to India, and we brought our Exim Bank representative in June here to discuss the financial arrangements to fund trade and investment with India, and shortly we'll be coming up with an Indian cultural festival, Indian film festival, Indian food festival, and other activities. We have resident representatives from the Indian pharmaceutical companies here to promote opportunities in this sector. In information technology, for instance, we have been running a center of excellence in information technology here in Santiago for the last 2 years, training hundreds of Dominican persons in information technology, and these are about the fairs and commercial exhibitions coming up. I will skip this. I will come to the scholarship possibilities. I hope that may be of more interest for our student friends. We offer very many scholarships for Dominican students and persons to study and also to undergo training in India. If you would like to undergo any training of interest, they cover the entire spectrum of development, ranging from journalism to information technology to remote sensing to irrigation to management. We have scholarships to offer, and we have trained tens of Dominicans so far, and we'll be glad to offer more slots, including in diplomacy and international relations. And in terms of cultural relations, I mentioned that we have signed a cultural exchange agreement, and we have arranged the visits of a few Indian cultural teams, and we're working to get more. I have this presentation available in Spanish. I would request Dr. Lorraine to make it available to the interested students and faculty members in case you are interested. And I've actually deliberately run my presentation a little quickly so that if you have any questions, I'll be very happy to answer. Thank you.